away from him.
Okay, well, at the very least, the carry off the board means that we've got a first pick Zoe here for FoFo, one of his strongest champions, Clement. The question is for Huanfeng and On, cementing that bottom lane. They want to get that AD carry before it's taken away by a Rare Atom, so the misfortune comes through to build a bit of that lane dominance. Now, things like Thresh are normally banned away in the first phase, so does On want to pick this one up and cement a strong 2v2?
These two supports have very different champion pools. I would say On so far has played Galio and Maokai, so I don't expect them to rush into the support pick just yet. Also talking about the AD matchup, typically we do see Jhin and Zoe paired up together, very strong poke composition, and a lot of teams will pick the Misfortune into the Jhin, just because you do have that early wave shove, and with SofM going for Olaf, this is a very bottom lane focused gank champion. We do see Suning setting themselves up for some potential aggression into the bot side. I do expect them to be a little bit more bot side focused.
Something that iBoy loved in the past is that Xayah. Just note that, you know, we've seen already a Rakan partnered with it. It is an option, and Hung played a little bit in 2020 from memory, but he was mainly about the Nautilus, about these hard engages as well. We still have things like Leona if they want to go down that alley. How do you partner this, Clement? How do you get the most out of this bottom lane?
So I do like the Leona. It's just like very high win percentage, and you can it's also a great champion against Misfortune because you can stun her over the entire tank line and just stop that bullet time from going off. So I do like the pickup here. It does look like iBoy is going to be playing a little bit more defensive in lane. This lane should go to Misfortune in the early game, and for the later game it does look like a pick oriented composition just with the champions of Zoe and Leona right now. So I do expect Rare Atom to try and go for that one. Rare Atom is a team that typically plays very vanilla in the top side. Cube is much more of a team fighter. His main champions are Renekton and Ornn. So not a lot of surprises coming up from there. And I do expect Suning to try and get double counter pick on the red side here. Now they have Syndra already locked in.
We'll see what the bans come through though. The bottom lane still a support needed. You got a support and a top laner necessary here for Bin. You know, we're having a little conversation about that before, and let's get rid of the vanilla top laners, Clement. We don't want to see no Ornn, you know, and especially in pick comps, a lot of the time we see like that facilitating frontline damage taking, you know, hunk chunk. So we'll see if Suning go for a double ban towards that lane.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting that we haven't seen the junglers being taken off the table just yet for Rare Atom. So Ike still does have that Graves on the table. I think that's what he's going to go for, and they're probably just going to fill it up with a tank, so they have double AD carry, they have a good mix of AD and AP damage in the mid jungle, and they can just play front to back and have a little bit of poke, have a little bit of pick inside of their composition. On the other hand, Suning right now, they have a composition that is very strong in terms of priority, very strong in the laning phase, but they don't really have a teamfight core set up just yet. They probably still need a couple frontliners to fill in for this composition. And I do want to see what Bin goes for right here, because I don't think a split pusher or a counter pick against a tank is necessarily what they're looking for. I think Suning right here with their composition probably feels a lot more comfortable just going for another hunk of meat into the top side.
Yeah, now you're part of it, Clement. You know, it makes a lot of sense. I do like that Suning it banned away, you know, some of that priority jungle if we're talking about, you know, how to build up some of the poke and the damage threat. The Thresh is the final ban alongside a targeted ban towards Bin. We know he'll play the Irelia. It was played at Worlds to great success, and now we're going to find out what goes up into that top lane. You've already got a strong mid 2v2. You get the Gnar up in that lane as well, so maybe continuing with a lane threat here, Clement.
I like the Gnar pickup here because it's countering out what Champions Cube has available. As we were talking about, Cube really over 70% of his picks were just like Mordekaiser, Ornn, Renekton, stuff like that. So he doesn't really have a counter in his pocket to the Gnar. Usually we're looking at Camille or Aurelia, but they're actually off the table by Rare Atom themselves. And we are going to see some interesting picks come here. I think Cube is going to be forced into a situation where he has to take something he's not necessarily comfortable with.
Yeah, he's got to match the lane and try and play the carry threat by the looks of it. You've got Pantheon, you've added global pressure, and now the poke comp, I mean, sitting there with a Jayce, if this gets locked in, adds a bit more AD threat as well. And there you go. No hard front line apart from the Leona and the Bruiser in the Pantheon. And we know what Rare Atom are doing for their direction.
Yep, Royer Adam is setting up for a very strong top side in the early game. They were going to repeatedly gank that lane. I think they're going to give up a lot of priority on the bottom side. And now it's time for On to show his champion picks. So far he's played Galio and Maokai. Those are the only things he's went for. The Alistar is going to be a big change because he has to play somewhat aggressively. We're talking about Suning's composition having a lot of priority, so they're going to be able to roam into the jungle quite easily, but they need someone to actually start the fights, and this is a huge test for On because we really haven't seen this new player be in a initiation role whatsoever.
He's someone who, remember, you know, you talked about his picks. We saw like very defensive options coming through, but the Alistar in the lane to build up on that 2v2. Ladies and gentlemen, iBoy and Ix will swap champions. Don't worry, that's not a Xayah in the jungle and iBoy on Pantheon. I don't know what the delay is, but yeah, there we go. Before 20 seconds is good. So at the very least, Clement, you've nailed this down quite nicely. And I think I'll question you more on it as we get into game, because Suning versus Rare Adam, the stakes for this series is kind of the placement. It's another benchmark series because we are in week 3. We're getting to the point where these teams are playing 3 to 4 series already, and we can kind of slot them in. But for Rare Adam, this is only their 2nd series. They've played the least out of any LPL team, and they got bodied to start off the split by Top Esports, and their schedule doesn't really get that much easier. So this will be a statement series for them. For Suning as well, Clement, we have to be realistic. They want to show that Sword Art doesn't make this team any less than what it was in 2020.
Suning are the ones that have shifted quite a bit from what we expected out of them. They were a pick-oriented composition back in 2020. Now they are more team fight focused, but again, with this draft, they're showing something different. They are coming up with a composition that is more priority focused, and if they can close out on initiation coming in from their support, I think they're going to be able to find a lot of kills onto that bottom side jungle. We're going to have Misfortune roaming into there. We're going to have Syndra that's going to have the priority in lane going there as well. So it's a much more early game focused comp than we're used to seeing from them.
As we enter Summoner's Rift, we'll wait for those gyos. As they come through, and as we have a look at the crowd, Clement, I wowed at something. I wowed because we have a Pantheon with Predator from Ix. So this is going to be, you know, very different. We normally see PTA. I think we've even seen like a Dark Harvest, but you know, this is all about getting that mobility and trying to affect some of these lanes.
Yeah, so he can just walk into a lane, start piling on damage, then hold his stun after the flash. So that's a kind of an interesting way to play that one. We haven't really seen how this one works out just yet, but I'm excited to see if he can make it work.
I'll correct myself. It's actually Conqueror. Every Pantheon jungle we've had in the LPL, everyone has gone Conqueror with Domination, Sorcery, or Inspiration. So I didn't get to see Ix's secondary, but we'll just see how his clear speed's affected, what the damage is like, etc., as we come through. Clement, while we see junglers starting on the same side of the map at their individual camps rather than their main buffs, I want you to walk me through, again, what Rare Adam want to do with the poke provided with the bottom lane in iBoy and Hung, and how they want to pace this game out.
So the critical thing that Rare Adam is setting up is for the top lane gank. We do see Pantheon starting on the bot side, and typically in this matchup, Cube is expected to have wave control. So what he can do is he can shove in very, very hard after the second wave, and this is exactly what he's doing right now. He's going to full shove this wave, get it to bounce back, and then set up a gank situation. So the question after this one is typically how does SofM respond to this one? Because if he doesn't go up there, he doesn't set up the vision for the Gnar, it's highly likely that the Gnar is actually just going to drop down and die to the gank incoming. It's a very strong position to be on the map, and it just forces junglers to respond.
Okay, so you want to see Rare Adam play towards the top side. You want to see the snowball effect coming through top.
They are 100% doing it already.
Okay, good.
It's not SofM.
I think as well, note that FoFo, you know, already trying to push this lane. We've talked about Zoe and Syndra a little bit, and in that lane matchup, you know, from both sides of the coin was explained by you and Lyric, and you can go further if you want, but we know a bit of a skill matchup based on Scatter the Weak versus Trouble Bubble.
Yeah, it typically does end out Syndra favored. We've seen players like Scout really like this matchup. They will purposely pick the Syndra to counter out the Zoe, and the main thing is that it's very difficult to avoid the Scatter the Weak with your portal jump. Your portal jump is in a straight line, so if you align that, you can always get the stun in. And just looking at the top side right here, we do have, this wave is still going in, but actually Bin did a very good job holding the wave outside of tower, so it's still pushing into him, but still on his side of the map. There is going to be no bounce back. So that's actually quite favorable for Bin with this wave position. He can still stay pretty safe, and his HP levels are very, very high for this.
Yeah, they are. He's taking a pot as well, and Ike's just comes in, drops off a ward. It's important to note that, you know, Ike's coming through, still doesn't have boots, so he can't utilize the Predator. His rune is a teleport. This is 3 versus 1. Bin's about to go into Mega Gnar. He's trying to kill a minion, so he gets that bar up. He gets stunned, though, and nuked to death. Ike's gets first blood, and that's great for Rare Adam to start the game off.
Yeah, I have to say, Bin already had that situation pretty much under control, but, you know, if the teleport is thrown top lane as well, not much you can do about that lane. Well played by Rare Adam, throwing that one into the top side. You really don't expect them to be investing in Cube that much early game.
Well, with the comps already set up, you talked about it, you know, wanting this Jayce to get ahead and facilitating the early game through these lanes. On the other side of the coin, you know, you have to burn the teleport. Bin comes back to lane. Cube as well. We get in a similar lane state, but the main thing is Ike's gets the kill. He now has boots of speed plus the pickaxe, so Predator can be used while SofM is trying to accrue a farm advantage and get himself to a favorable position too.
What we're seeing SofM doing is he's trying to set up for a potential roam coming in from Angel. He's already in the bottom side map, and if you look at their own bottom lane, they're having this wave pushed in pretty much constantly. So he's just trying to make sure that when the time comes, they can trade the bot side for the top side, hopefully get that double kill. That is why most LPL teams prefer to play for the bottom lane instead of the top side. But a very good answer coming out from Ike's as well. He's following up onto the play, and normally this matchup, we have said, is a little bit more Syndra favored. Yep. But with Ike's presence, they are going to push the Syndra back. The bottom lane also caught a back from Suning, so they're just going to sneak this one away for free.
So it is spotted out, so of course the information can be used by SofM. Again, it's like Ike's is sacrificing for the benefit of his team, while SofM is just again doing SofM things. This guy is a monster farmer, and he's up by 20 CS at 5.5 minutes in the game. As he backs away now, you can see Iron Spike Whip, we've got Ruby Health Crystal, and a Control Ward. So in a very good position to at least keep gold even enough with all things considered.
And the key thing for junglers getting ahead is, can they actually keep those timers on the Raptors? That's been the main goal of SofM's play for a very long time now. He's basically called the Prince of Raptors at this point. So I want to see if he's able to keep those timers and continuously go into the enemy jungle like that. We did talk about Suning. This composition, a lot of it is about priority. They should have it in the mid and bottom lane at the same time. So that should allow SofM to just walk in and continuously take away those camps. While on the flip side, Rare Adam really playing more for that top side punishment. They want to make sure Bin never gets going in this game.
They do want to find iBoy. He's just dead. Yep, over to Huanfeng, caught out backing. And he's backing on the ward as well. I believe the control ward was already there, so that was just sloppy, hoping for his support to pick it up on the next back.
Yeah, definitely shouldn't have happened that way, and that is going to open up Rare Adam's bot side jungle. As we were talking about, the Raptor camp is going to be taken away by SofM. He's going to start his snowball, and we've seen this at Worlds where he had a great game against Broxa, up over 100 CS by like the 25-minute mark, and this is how SofM loves to play.
I mean, they've got great vision control, so SofM plays off of that. When you have so much control over the wards in the enemy side jungle, you know where they are all the time. Ike's was spotted out on rotation towards the top lane. He's not 6, so SofM knows he's here. It was cleared away in the end, but still using that information can go back up towards his red that'll be spawning soon, and still maintaining a 20 CS lead. On now roaming as well too, Clement. So we are trying to get towards these skirmishes, and I want to reiterate where we see people farming up, waiting for the Herald to spawn and starting getting proactive on the map. Who these skirmishes favor and how maybe Suning could play through the advantage of SofM.
So I definitely think with the priority given on Suning, Suning should be favored. However, you know, Rare Adam can always outplay the situation like that. Okay. Unfortunately, SofM goes for a scuttle before the blue handoff, and his mid laner really isn't there in place. They're just going to give away the ultimate for that one. And I want to point out something that's quite interesting for me is that we see Angel actually going for the tier build, a much slower build in this situation, a much more scaling oriented build, and not something that I expected given that SofM is consistently trying to take control over the enemy Raptors. So he's not really indexing into that early skirmish. He's looking later into the game where he can have a little bit more impact.
It does feel nice, especially as a Syndra, to, you know, maintain mana with the Zoe who wants to burst you out at the very least, but you're right, damage going to be lacking for a little bit as that 400 gold spent to index into a bit more scaling. Is maintaining a bit of a CS lead in the mid lane throughout the rest of the map. Let's just take note that top is up by 15 CS as we expect from Jayce versus Gnar. We already talked about SofM's lead quite a lot this game, and a small CS lead for iBoy as well. So mainly Rare Adam favored. However, the jungle is the most important position in League of Legends right now, Clement. We mentioned that. We said a lot of people have talked about it. So we'll see what SofM can do as across the map. He just keeps power farming. This dude in love with his jungle as usual.
That's an interesting thing about power farming so far is we've seen a lot of teams play priority oriented compositions where they get 10, 20 CS on multiple lanes at the same time and even their jungler at the same time. But what we've also seen is if it doesn't convert into kills, then it doesn't really mean a whole lot until the team fights come. So I'm not always satisfied with just power farming on your side of the jungle. I don't think that actually does a whole lot to advance the game plan here. And I do want to see Suning just make more use of SofM. If he's ahead, you should actively look for the skirmishes.
Hung on the Zenith Blade, not yet. Trouble Bubble lands. Ragnarok knocked there. Shock Blast absorbed by SofM. The Undertow doesn't connect either. And Rare Adam used the pressure that Cube has in his lane to help get that Rift Herald. First one of the game here at 10 minutes in. And that'll be a nice bit of gold injection for Rare Adam to continue with how this game's going. And SofM's just like, okay, I missed out. I'm going to go back to, well, I have no camps available. So he's got to start fishing.
The happiest people on this map right now have to be the Raptors. They're finally like, SofM is not coming for me anymore. And this is kind of what I was talking about with the just like farm-oriented and kind of like gank-oriented is if you're only power farming on your side of the jungle, it really doesn't change much. You have to be taking away from the enemy at the same time to make that style worth it. And good on Rare Adam, they're able to preemptively roam Hong onto the top side, make sure they have the Herald, and that's going to cancel out all of the CS lead that SofM has.
I was going to ask you as well, you know, compositionally, this feels pretty nice for Rare Adam, right? When we talk about, you know, the poke that they have, when also they have the late game carry in the Xayah, the way this game pace is going does feel like Rare Adam can play with tools in these upcoming fights a lot better if nothing happens because of SofM.
Yeah, now I look at their composition, even though I thought that this was more of a procedural game, it's not really about the compositions that either side has. Okay. If we have to talk about the 5v5, I do favor Rare Adam here a little bit, now that they passed through the early game without much actually happening.
Yep.
Because if you look at Suning, they're the ones that are going to have to run in at the end. They do have, like, Olaf, they do have the Gnar, and I feel like Rare Adam can just keep their distance here and try to whittle them down slowly in the 5v5s if they get that positional advantage at the objectives first.
Okay, I like that. They have to run into them. That's something that for me with Suning will definitely stick as, you know, Rare Adam also had that burst in range. Where's he going? Up, Batman, up to the top lane. Ike's is here. He wanted to use the Herald, but now on top of Bin, the Solar Flare lands down perfectly as well. Cube picks up the kill. There's the proactivity from Rare Adam. And with the Herald and the next wave coming in, I mean, Ike's can take the camp, push himself with a bit of lead, and get Cube towards that first mythic.
Oh, that was beautiful coming in from Hong. He flashes right at the exact moment, gets the stun down, and this is going to be first tower going over to Rare Adam. They trade bot for top perfectly, and they also do a very good job at keeping the defensive side of iBoy alive.
Not even a
lot of ward placed on that. Yeah, they traded the Drake away for it, essentially.
True. I mean, and we look at it, right? It's only second dragon of the game. It's a mountain that goes over, leads into the Ocean Soul. When you have a Jayce who now has Eclipse and plated steel caps, well, Cube, he's not normally in a carrying position, but this game, he is pretty fed to kick it off.
Yeah, and this is the point where we're going to see a lot of damage come out of Rare Adam. They have double poke coming in from the soul lanes, and if they're ever in position for the Drake fight, they could easily take down multiple Sunni members before Sunni can even come through the ramps. It's going to be very hard to fight from now on. And I'm just kind of baffled by the way Sunni played this early game. I felt like they had a very sizable advantage. We saw the Olaf take away the first 2 Raptor camps from Pantheon, but they didn't index into it. They didn't keep their foot on the pedal, and they just kind of let go of that priority advantage. So now their composition is in a bit of a weird situation where I don't think their front line can actually take the damage, take the punishment coming out from Rare Adam, and their backline doesn't. They might still be able to get priority, but they're not going to be able to do anything with it. So this is going to be a pretty quiet couple of few minutes that I do expect Rare Adam to just keep on taking away objectives.
You know what it feels like? Feels like that Sunni are, you know, going to their namesake, the slowest team in the game right now in the LPL. You know, they make the resident sleeper. And for Sunni, they're still going at a slower pace, although it might not be beneficial. So if the next 2 minutes favor Rare Adam, they're already up about 2,000 gold. They've got a dragon up in that 2.5 minutes time, which they can start heading towards. And we'll have Mythics by that point, maybe with a bit of an advantage, especially since, you know, we did talk about the top lane leads. So I expect Cube here to play a pretty pivotal part and use that experience lead and the extra damage that they can play with around the poke.
It's always pretty nice to see role players on the teams actually become the focal point occasionally. As I was saying, Cube really was a bit of a role player. Sunni actually getting poked out in their own jungle.
Yeah, just at half health, has to pop the ulti, and Rare Adam still pushing in. Red buff to take, and this is aggressive as hell. Angel using the choke really nicely, ready to scatter the weak, but on not going to risk it as Predator's been popped by Ikes as well. Red buff's going to be taken away, and this also means Sunni can increase their vision line in the jungle. You already see towards the red buff, control wards kept. On has to risk his life to move in here, knowing that all it takes is one, is the 1v1 actually happening in the bottom lane. Bullet time lands. iBoy, he has his ulti, but chooses not to pop it. He heals instead. Angel moving down, and that was a bit nothing, and, you know, that's a win for Huanfeng.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting because he knows the Drake fight is coming up, so he chooses to keep his ultimate, but expend his heal to get out of the situation. That was very purposeful in the way he traded those summoners and ultimate. But my question is, why go in the first place anyway? Like, if that's the end result.
Because it's iBoy. You know,
that's a good answer, actually.
Yeah, like, I think iBoy's received a lot of criticism, especially last year. iBoy had, you know, one of his weaker years at the very least, and, you know, he died a lot of random deaths. It's definitely not Clement, you know, I think this was actually around when you joined the LPL. It was 2017 or 2018, where iBoy had that insane flash for a Sejuani. I don't know if you remember that, as Ragnarok's here, but is there anything going to come of it? Yeah, so iBoy's had insane moments, but further to the point, you know, he's been middling for the past year and a half. So a lot of criticism on him, and that play doesn't really help. We'll see what happens around the fight if he's kept that ultimate for that sake, because 15 seconds until the dragon comes up, and I was saying before, I'm expecting there to be damage advantage for Rare Adam with this Jayce. He has the Caulfield's Warhammer, and there's no mythic for Bin yet.
Yeah, this is a very dire situation for Sunni. I think they're still holding on to tiers, still waiting for Gnar to kind of get to that point where he can actually split push something. And Rare Adam are taking their pick of the litter. You know, they're saying that, hey, I want to open this map up a little bit more. I'm willing to trade the Herald for the Drake right here. And as long as
power.
Die,
is it in the outplay button? Angel takes the shock blast, the flash over from Cube. Oh, the geometry. We're in three-dimensional space with the 1-for-1 trade as the Paddle Star set up for On. He has the Unbreakable Will. Not really, but that was sick.
And that was a massive play because they actually stopped the Drake in the bottom side too. So this is just a pure one-up on the side of Rare Adam. They're going to use it immediately. They get the mid lane tower, and the map is completely opened up. If you're talking about jungle fights, and especially with the Ocean Soul, there's so many dark spots on the map, and you have to walk through all of them knowing that something could just hit you in the face, like a Sleepy Trouble Bubble, and like that EQ Shock Blast from Jayce.
Reality hurts, Clement, and you know, they had to pull off, like, this was not a favorable or safe dragon, so it's not a trade in the end. We get the dragon taken down. And for Rare Adam, the turret as well, this is looking like a very favorable early game. As 3 turrets to 0, Clement, 4K gold lead at 18 minutes.
Yeah, and this is kind of baffling for Suning. I felt like they just gave away so much of the early game. Let's watch Cube with this great play again. He actually takes the full burst to his face, but is able to heal up with Eclipse. Has the Omni-Net running and finds the kill 1v2. Wow, that's why you play Eclipse on Jayce. Very well done on his part.
As we're going to see a 1v1 here. Does SofM win this? That's the real question. If Cube gets the cooldowns but into the melee range, he's not able to. And Olaf just flashes and smashes his face.
Core Drinker OP.
True.
That item just... It's so crazy on Olaf just because you have the additional healing you get for yourself on the W. So those reckless swings can get you extra healing with the Gore Drinker. Nobody can really take you down just 1v1. And if you look at his CS, he is pretty damn fed. Like, he hasn't been falling off that much. So, unfortunate for Cube. Actually has to burn the flash to get out. He burned the flash earlier, but actually just falls there.
Oh, but he has no Ragnarok here. Uses the gap close with the Gale Force, and iBoy picks up the kill. So, SofM giveth, SofM taketh away as Bin walks in, blind into this brush. I think the control ward around the side didn't pick up Hung. He has to flash in the end as well and has to walk back to his turret. So great timing here for Rare Atom. They can push this out, get some control and start clearing away the deep vision, or rather the safe vision from Suning on red side jungle.
Yeah, so all in all, it will be a favorable trade for Rare Atom. They do get the 1-for-1 kill, but they get more summoners out of the deal in the end, and they are sitting on a pretty sizable lead, 4K advantage. I will say at this point, Suning, they really can't contest for anything. I think what they have to do is they just have to farm underneath their towers, kind of take the L here, and wait till Bin can actually tank up some of the damage. At this point, he's still a very small Gnar. He doesn't have that first defensive item completed, and they're probably going to have to wait for Hysterics Gauge before they really have a frontline advantage over Rare Atom.
You know, he's not a beefy boy, you're right. You know, that Gnar is going to... have you seen My Hero Academia, Clement? Do you watch anime? I have to pause. Hung actually going in. Maybe it's glad we're pausing as Hung gets half health and Ragnarok used immediately. Shock Blast burns down a bit of HP. Ike does the same with the Comet Spear, and Rare Atom have the shove in mid. They've done enough to look for the inner turret. But On's coming in. Onto Cube, they flash on in. Scatter the Weak not in range for yet, but it does hit the mark. Cube's still there, absorbing damage. Eclipse gives him the movement speed. They use everything to kill him in the end. Another kill for Suning.
Yeah, Huanfeng does burn the flash to get that one. Unfortunately for them, there's nothing really on the map, so it just will be a pure gold trade on the side of Suning. And frankly, I feel like Rare Atom are okay with that one. They're not too worried about this. FoFo is coming back on the map. They have two very, very low HP towers. So it does look like Rare Atom, the next play is still going to be towards the top side. They probably want to strip those away, and they can turn back and continue their Drake stacking.
We'll see, though, because we're starting to see some of that pushback, some of the power of Suning. You did talk about how, like, Suning had a lot of strength within their lanes, but I think skirmishes as well. Clement, correct me if I'm wrong. You know, Misfortune, Syndra, finding picks is just so potent. Even here with the Alistar and the Olaf, Hung has to flash away. The Undertow follow-up means Hung's at half health, and this is Suning's composition to find surprising moments due to the lack of vision for Rare Atom.
Yeah, I'm not really a huge fan of Suning's team composition in terms of team fights. I feel like you have double immobile carries. Olaf doesn't scale that well, and we've never seen Gnar actually work out that well in terms of team fights. So they have a very difficult sort of team fight to execute, and I think they're going to have to do what we just saw on the map there, is just poke their heads out, find some small picks here and there, and try to dissuade Rare Atom from actually setting up a siege poke style of composition here.
All burning flashes. Huanfeng Gale Force. Thank God it exists in the game, he shouts as iBoy will clear up this wave right in time for Dragon to spawn soon. Angel waiting in the brush. Both teams really waiting for that pick, actually. And trying to capture the mid wave for now. But I will say, Dragon in 15, and this is favorable for Rare Atom as they regain control in the river.
All they need to do is make sure all of these brushes are warded. They can always send the poke their way. They should feel pretty confident in starting this Drake up. They know that there's two members on the top side. Not really a lot of contest here, and Suning do think the better of it. As I was saying, I do think Suning need to wait until Bin is actually online and in the game, where he probably needs to wait for Hysterics Gauge. That's third item. Right now he's building on the Randuins, so that's still a whiles away. And the question is, can he actually get that farm up before the 4th Drake comes in for Rare Adam?
Because there's a concept to interrupt, Clement. There's a concept that you talked about where, you know, you extend these side lanes and then you have to respect the, you know, the vision control and the line of the lane. And especially right now, you can see Bin is playing defensive in that lane because they don't have enough information. Rare Adam control the vision line, and until they're actually spotted on some of the Suning wards, Rare Adam just have to, or rather Bin, just has to pull back and wait.
Pretty much. Good Gale Force there from iBoy. He gets away from Scatter the Weak. And this is an interesting play by Suning. They do use the fact that Rare Adam just took Drake, so they have the quicker reset on the map, and they're creating blind spots for themselves. They do have a lot of burst damage, so if it isn't Hong that's face-checking, they do have a chance to get a pick here.
Well, Gale Force not going to be used. This is Ike's just actually burning the flash. Good Scout of the Week. Suning now have control of the river, and Rare Adam tried to get a pick as they push forward.
Yep, and it's all about the poke here for Rare Adam. They do have a lot of damage incoming.
A bubble lands.
And Suning, they have a good defensive setup here as well. They can just hold the ramp. They should be able to back off without any problems.
Onto SofM. Trouble Bubble not going to hit that range. Shock Blast did a bit of damage as you saw before, but Rare Adam still clearing out the waves. It's 4 for 4 at 24 minutes. You know, these are the majority of our LPL games, folks. Don't worry, we'll see more fighting soon, but you know, especially around these neutrals coming up. Remember, we have an Ocean Soul in 3 minutes 15. We have a Baron sitting there waiting. Rare Adam still have a 5,000 gold lead just about. And Suning are still waiting for that pick as they clear away vision that Rare Adam been focusing all game long. There's so many wards out and about. Suning playing with a blind map.
Yeah, the problem with Suning trying to find picks is they only really have one member that can start it. I expect Angel to be the main one for those picks with Scatter the Weak followed up into his burst damage. So it's not that difficult for Rare Adam to really defend. They push sideways, they see Syndra on the map, and they should be able to set vision quite aggressively around this Drake. As we were talking about, Gnar at this point doesn't have the tankiness just yet to go into this Drake Dragon Soul fight. And I really want to see how Suning take this one. It's an extremely difficult situation, and if Rare Adam are setting up their vision correctly on those brushes, not a lot they can do. Whoa.
Well, this is a bit of a pick here. The combo comes out. Hung takes all the damage. Unleash power as well, but that's a lot of ultimates used to kill the support. Nevertheless, Suning have found a pick, and there's nothing Rare Adam can find on the other end.
That was really smart on Suning's side. Even though Leona can stop the ultimate coming in from Misfortune, not if she's dead. So they just focus all of their crowd control onto her. They get Hong down, and that should set them up for a pretty good vision advantage into the bottom side of the map. However, Rare Adam, they're actually just looking at Baron.
They are. Pings are coming down, missing pings there because you saw SofM was so low he had to back away. Bin doesn't go over a ward, but they suspect he's moving up towards the top side. Even through the mid lane, not many picks that can be found from Rare Adam, but the Baron pings are still coming down. Observer, we're on the big purple worm, and it's going down pretty fast.
Oh, this is such a smart bait and switch coming in from Rare Adam. Suning think that they are contesting against the Ocean Soul, but actually Rare Adam are sneaking away the Baron completely uncontested.
Holy five-head, brother. Rare Adam just take over the game in an instant, even more so than we saw before. It's a minute till the Soul as well. They get the reset out, and straight away, Rare Adam feel like game one is under their wing.
Suning do the standard play, they get the pick, and they're looking to set up vision for the Drake fight. But in the meantime, Rare Adam just get a better side of that deal. As you were saying, they even have time to actually just push this wave out and do a proper contest for vision all along the lines. This is Suning's do or die moment. They're going to be forced into this one.
If they get caught out, the Baron is going to take over the base and rush it through to give so many resources for Rare Adam. On's going to take this one. Flashes over the wall. Doesn't want to use the Unbreakable Will. Actually wasn't up and available, so a summoner down for the engage of Suning. Running out of options. Soul could just be that much harder. Over the wall, FoFo's here as well. Now you need to steal from SofM.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. Angel still does have that Banshee, so he's not going to fall down.
Huanfeng over the wall, gets poked down. On takes another chunk. FoFo has a fake flash. Might have to burn it as SofM chasing up. Undertow connects. Bin's here, but Mega about to time out. FoFo with the range connects onto SofM. And he takes yet another. The poke continues out, and this is what happens. Rare Adam love the poke battle. They win it every time.
They took a lot of damage, but they have those Ocean Drakes running for them, so they're not afraid to continue this one. iBoy, however, is in a very awkward situation. I don't like his positioning whatsoever.
Ult comes in from Ike, so Hung goes in for the engage. The Solar Flare there, unleash power onto the support. Once again, they use a Gale Force, so when Ike goes in, the Scatter Weak, beautiful. Ike's even getting chunked down pretty heftily. He puts up the shield while Huanfeng is doing his diligence. Meanwhile, on the back end of the fight, the flashless Alistar got taken down. Both supports lay dead in the waste, and SofM backs away. They're like, hey, maybe we have to give up Ocean Soul's teleport, even being channeled by Cube.
All the flashes burned on the carries. Sunny can't really afford to take any poke at this point, and FoFo is going to deliver some to the doorstep of Bin. This should be the Drake going over.
Teleport comes in, and Bin just has to back away. Is he going to be able to get back in time? The answer is no. SofM exhausted down, Soul given over, and with that, Suning's chances in this game diminish, it feels like, as Cube runs on in. This Jayce is humongous. As the other teleport, I think Bin may have been a little bit inty with that one. He needs to run, takes another shock blast, and this game could have just been put in the bin.
Nice pun over there.
No,
Rare Adam
intended.
going in with the Ocean Soul. They have so much HP at this point. There's only 2 members to defend this one. And looking at the timers, there's 30 seconds here. So I think Rare Adam are going to be able to take this one into a W.
Well, into the inhibitor, Clement, you're right. Death timers are pretty long on some core carries, and Rare Adam now have the minion wave coming in. Bin trying to clear it into the Mega Gnar shortly. Rare Adam might have to space out as On's there as well. Stunned up immediately. The top laner at half health gets trouble bubbled as he evolves into a weird position. SofM's respawn, but it's a bare Nexus, and Rare Adam here still want to find the kills to end the game calmly. They're in no threat, no danger, and SofM has no life. First game over to Rare Adam to destroy the world finalist.
And that was Rare Adam setting the tone for the series. We had a lot of question marks. How is this team going to play? Where are they going to focus on? And a lot of it was answered right here. They have a great roaming core in Ike's and Hong, and they can move and switch sides between all of these different positions. Cube can actually play a carry and be a focal point in the team. That's something I didn't really expect. And FoFo was magnificent on the Zoe as well. So Rare Adam making a very, very strong statement after being thrashed by Top Esports.
It was a very, very clean start to the game. We talked about SofM's lead throughout, and I thought he was going to take over, but you mentioned the tempo wasn't kept. He goes back to his own jungle rather than taking away resources from Ike's that game, and Ike's actually caught up. He managed to build a CS lead himself. He had a level lead around that Dragon Soul, so, you know, better jungler wins. There was a big difference in this game 1.
I really didn't like the way Suning played out that early game. Like we were talking about, they had a very sizable early game advantage. They had a free kill that iBoy just gifted them. They had double Raptor control for 2 rotations, and mid lane was a counter matchup in Syndra versus Zoe. So what I wanted to see them do is actually just, you know, keep the pedal to the metal, just keep on going bot lane, trade sides, it's okay, and at least try to punish iBoy when he was sitting alone under tower. Yeah. It is so uncharacteristic to see an AD carry, especially iBoy, stay alive when he's 1v3 on the map. Like, that really shouldn't happen. So I feel like Suning was just far too timid, and they weren't willing to actually opt into the trade. I'm also not sure if I like the tier build coming out from Syndra. When you're playing for priority, I don't think you want to slow down the tempo. I don't know what Suning were thinking about their early game, or if they thought that they had some sort of comeback mechanic, but you had the lead, guys. You could have just went for it.
I think iBoy is categorized as the shy of the bottom lane, by the way. You know, definitely dies way too many times and has some questionable plays. The builder side, this for me was like a disappointing Suning game, because a lot of fans have been saying, well, Suning is still great. You know, Angel and Bin off of Worlds, SofM, one of the best junglers still. But that team was directionless in game 1. Another example of why there's been this skepticism and the voice of control and reason as to Suning's, you know, great success was Sword Art. So it does feel questionable to see a Suning like that and be like, well, what is the state of this team?
And that's the big question for us. What is the direction that Suning is going to go for? They say they have a lot of compositions, but they have to try out which one actually sticks.
Find out. Game 1 goes to Rare Adam in convincing fashion to see if Suning